Guidance is internal. Ignition sequence starts. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. All engine running. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Permission to board. Permission to come aboard. Permission to board. Permission to bring me aboard. Permission to come aboard.
Welcome to the Permission Granted podcast. Here's D.A.
All right, welcome inside the freshest edition of the Permission Granted podcast, everybody. Mraz will join me in a little bit. Also, James Ward's going to join me, and a special voice from the past a little bit later on. Little reminder, all of this is off of the air stuff, so that you're not going to be able to get this stuff on the air. You get it on our iTunes feed. Just simply go to iTunes, search The DA Show CBS Sports. It's on our SoundCloud. It's on our YouTube. And it's on our Facebook, facebook.com/The DA Show. Go there and like the show page when you're there. We'll get your timeline popping. It's youtube.com/The DA Show as well. Damien Lemon, comedian, joining us here on the show. You've seen him on MTV2's Guy Code. He was also a little cameo in The Amazing Spider-Man, and he's on a bunch of Comedy Central specials and on a couple of TV shows as well. And he's a really funny guy. Really cool to have him here on the show. He's going to be performing in New Brunswick as well this weekend, New Brunswick, New Jersey, if you're in the New York area. Damien Lemon joining us here on the show. Damien, how are you, my man?
I'm good. How are you, D.A.? What's going on?
I'm doing great, brother. Thanks so much for joining us. Exciting time for you. Got a ton of things going on. I wanted to ask you first about doing your piece on Broad City last season, because that TV show kind of blew up for Comedy Central. Two chicks, really, really funny. It became such a hit. How fun was that?
Oh, it was great. I've been a fan of Broad City since it was a web series. So, I actually got to be on the web series too. So I knew it was going to be a big hit once it hit cable, just because it reminded me like what was good about Sex and the City and what was good about Curb Your Enthusiasm moving together. It's one of those defining shows where they got, it seems like they got a woman's friendship down pat, and then they got that New York City as that extra element of it. And it's killing them, man. It's a funny, funny show.
It really is. I think there's a lot of dudes that might not be kind of gravitating towards two females in that setting, but it's pretty lewd, it's pretty crude, and that's what makes it hysterical. It's like two chicks that are talking like guys, and I think that brings in everybody, man. Some of the stuff that they say, I can't believe that they can get away with it on cable, but it is hysterical.
Yeah, they're wild. They're wild. They're definitely very funny girls on that.
Yeah, man. So it's interesting because you got the podcast going on as well, and really good stuff that you guys got going on in the conversation. And I thought it was really interesting. Now, I guess it was this week when you guys were talking a little bit about Serena Williams, and she now beats Venus and she moves on to the U.S. Open. But you guys were talking about, like, we don't really know a lot about Serena. She's doing these amazing things. Do you think that maybe her celebrity or her fame is kind of cut down a little bit because we don't know a lot about what goes on in her private life?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not mad at that though. My argument was I kind of like the idea of mystique, this old school celebrity where you just knew them for what they did. If that was a singer, if that was an actress, if that was a sports player, you knew when they delivered. And then after that, if you were lucky enough to see them going into a restaurant or something, you were like, oh, wow, that's such and such. But that was it. You didn't follow them on Twitter. You didn't know what they were doing. What did they eat for lunch? Little things like that. Sometimes when you follow somebody you look up to, you find out how mundane they are, and you turn off. You're like, my hero was corny. So I'm not mad at Serena kind of being quiet about it.
Yeah, it is kind of refreshing because we know too much about some celebs and then not a lot about others. And,
exactly.
And you're right. Like on social media, on Twitter, you see some of these people that you respect, and they're just tweeting junk, and they're boring, or they're not funny, or they're lame.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, God, these people suck.
Yeah, killed it. You killed it. Yeah, it's terrible.
So when you're on social media and you're using Twitter and whatnot, are you always thinking like, hey, I want to make sure this is funny, or I want to make sure this is interesting, or do you just try to get stuff out there that that you feel like, you know what, it's what I'm doing, so it's what I'm thinking, so I might as well throw that out there no matter what?
Yeah, it's a combination of both. It's a combination of both. I try. The aim is always to be, if not funny, informative. You know what I mean? But sometimes I'm just going to put up something that just might be funny to me, or it just might be something random. You know, and you'd be surprised what people respond to. So my thing is, I just try not to overthink it. You know, you shouldn't really think. A friend of mine, or another comedian, Lil Duval, said a long time ago. He said, why overthink on a platform where people don't think? And I thought that was so profound. You know what I mean? Yeah,
it's true. It's really, really true. So you've worked with him for Guy Code, which is MTV2's hit comedy show, and alongside a lot of other funny guys and funny comedians on that show.
Yeah.
When you're kind of just riffing and with a lot of funny guys or gals and comedians on a platform like that, does it feed off of one another?
Oh yeah, if we're in the moment, like we got to do a lot of that type of thing when we did Guy Court and when we did Ask Guy Code, because those were live in the moment. When we do Guy Code, regular Guy Code, we're typically in the chair by ourselves, which is the producer and the director. But when we were on set at Guy Court, it was like a live comedy show, and we just played off of the audience, played off the audience energy and off the energy of each other, each comic, and that was fun.
One of the things that's interesting about doing stand-up these days is the fact that everybody's got a cell phone that can record either audio or video, which would mean that anybody in that audience could put your stuff on YouTube.
Yeah.
In some ways, that's cool because it gets your jokes out there. In some ways, it's totally not cool because it's stealing your content and putting it out there for free. So what is that kind of like? Do you guys try to police that?
Yeah, absolutely. You try to. If you see people, it feels like that's a phenomenon. Just the fact that you have the camera, you feel entitled to just record everything that comes in front of you. And the thing is, why don't you just enjoy this in the moment? That's the beauty of stand-up. The stand-up thing is, this is going on typically like in a basement or like a dark club. There's alcohol involved. This is a little time where we tune out, and it's just about everybody in the room. Because once you put it on your phone and you record it and you upload it somewhere else, you take it out of the context of what it was delivered in. You know what I mean? And then those same people don't experience it in that same thing, and it's not true to the joke. It's not true to the delivery of the joke. And sometimes if you put it out too early, the joke is something that the comedian may just be working on. So that's like hearing your favorite artist's album before it's been mixed and mastered. That might have been a reference track. That wasn't for you to hear. And sometimes it could spoil the joke.
That's really interesting. And I guess also it hurts the crowd interaction because then they're not totally engaged in the joke. They're kind of not there to kind of be as vocal and laughing about stuff because they're trying to record it, right?
Exactly. They're trying to keep their hands steady and trying not to laugh over the audio, which is terrible because oftentimes nobody's going to watch that anyway. You're not even going to, you know what I mean? How many videos you got on your phone or on your laptop that you meant to put on Instagram or YouTube? Stop it. Nobody's looking for that. You're terrible. You don't even know how to hold your camera phone correctly. It's terrible footage. Just enjoy the show. Put your phone in your pocket. Enjoy the show.
So when people walk in, is it just like, hey, make sure you turn off your phone? Or if you see somebody doing it in there, do you have to stop the set and say, knock it off? What happens?
Typically, they make an announcement. If it's a good club, they make an announcement. They say, hey, please, turn your cell phones off just for the fact, one, we don't want you to take the show, but two, we don't want you to distract the show by a phone call coming in. So we want you to really be all the way in this. So put your phone away. And then, it often happens, sometimes, crowd, you might have some fans in the crowd that are excited that you're there live. So they want to record it. And sometimes I'll let it rock for about a minute or two just to, maybe they're just taking a still photo. But if I see it up for a while, I say, hey, man, I address it. Hey, listen, can you put the camera away? I need to, I got to travel this set. This is not just for this.
Yeah. Yeah.
It took me a while to write this. So, let it be in the real form,
When you were starting and you went to college at Clark Atlanta University and you were you were working on stuff, were you more willing to kind of throw a ton of stuff out there because you were an unknown and you were working on it? Or at that point, are you a little bit more nervous about putting kind of stuff that could be racy or controversial out there because, you are so green around the ears? How do you approach that when you're young?
Well, I didn't start. I started after college, but when I first started doing comedy, I was actually a little bit more apt to put stuff up just for the fact that I knew nobody else was checking for me.
Yeah.
So like when you're Dave Chappelle, everybody's gonna pick up their phone. You know what I mean?
Right.
But when you're just Dave Johnson from down the block, nobody cares. So you could be just as funny, but nobody knows your name. So it's kind of like that was always one of the markers. I said early on that will be a great marker of success when I'm not the only person uploading my videos onto YouTube. That's when I know I made it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's that.
That's a good way to put it. Hey, speaking about Dave Chappelle, kind of a modern comedic genius, and now he has subsided from the limelight. You see him every so often, but certainly not the way that it was.
Uh-huh.
What do you think is going on with Dave? What do you think forced him to walk away, and what do you think he's been going through over the last couple of years? Because he was as big as anybody.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really know what made him walk away. I can only go by a little bit that he said about it. But it seemed like he wanted to maintain creative freedom, and everybody talks about how much he was offered, but, sometimes for your artistic freedom, it's not enough, and I think what he's doing now is he's living like an artist, it's like he's already in the history books as far as comedy's concerned, so now he's just playing with his chapters. You know what I mean? He does little things here. He'll sell out Radio City for 10 nights straight, do pop-up shows all over the country. The enthusiasm's still in when he gets on stage. So, he's just having fun with it, which is, I think, the goal for most comedians. You want to be certified, solidified, put it down to where you're of the community, you're one of the greats, and now you just fucking have fun with it.
Yeah, and when you do stuff like for MTV2 or you do stuff like Hip Hop Squares or stuff for Russell Simmons, do you get total creative freedom and artistic freedom, or do you have to run it by somebody and they'll say, well, this won't really work with our audience, etc.?
You still got to run it by the booker. You got to run it by, if you're doing like a late night show, you're doing Russell Simmons, something like that. They know their audience and they know what they want. They know what jokes will work. It's of your material, but they'll edit it. They'll say, all right, we like that joke, we like this joke. We're not really feeling that joke. You got anything else that you can fill up the time with? And then you give them something else, and it works out like that, and then you present the set, and, hopefully it works out for both.
You got the Stress Factory coming up, New Brunswick, New Jersey, coming up in a couple of days, huh?
Yeah, coming up tomorrow, Thursday through Saturday.
All right, so check that out. That is, once again, the Stress Factory, New Brunswick, New Jersey. Also, for all of the shows, you can go to Damien Lemon's website. Also, check out his podcast. He's all over the place on SoundCloud, In the Conversation. Really, really funny stuff there. And follow him on Twitter as well for all the latest at DLemonComedy. He's all over the place. You've seen him on Guy Code, Hip Hop Squares, Russell Simmons' The Ruckus. You've seen him in the Amazing Spider-Man movie as well, as we mentioned before, Broad City, all over the place. Hey, Damien, congratulations on all the success. This was awesome to finally catch up, man. Thanks so much.
Thank you, DA, man. It was a pleasure.
So thanks to Damien Lemon, comedian, for joining us here on the Permission Granted podcast. A little reminder that it's always available on the same iTunes feed that we put everything else, including the show, the full show, the PGP, and now Sunday Morning Football. There's going to be a lot of DA show football content this fall, Mraz. Now that we have you're not part of it, but now a Sunday football show.
Sunday football show, Thursday night previewing the games, Monday night recapping and previewing the Monday Night Football. If you want football, I guess the DA show is the place to be, right?
Well, it's going to be, this is the best because last two seasons, football seasons, we were doing the overnights. So on Sundays, we were coming in and it was great because we had instantaneous reaction on the overnights. But during Monday Night Football, during Thursday Night Football, we weren't on. We had to wait until the overnights came. We'll be on during those football games.
Which is pretty cool to watch and preview and then get right in there for the first halves. I'm pretty pumped for it.
Yeah. Instantaneous reaction as it's happening. Thursday Night Football each and every week. Monday Night Football each and every week. And how about Bart Scott the other night coming in studio?
Jeez.
We're going to be doing that every Wednesday night.
Wednesday nights, that is something to look forward to on Hump Day, to get you over the hump. Bart Scott is a firecracker. He'll say anything that comes to mind, and he is hysterical.
Think about it. We're going to be reacting in real time to the Monday Night Football game. Tuesday's Trash Tuesday. Wednesday, Bart Scott. Thursday, reacting to Thursday Night Football. Friday, Football Friday going to the weekend.
Unbelievable. And not to mention, you still got the awards winners and the Up the Gut. I mean, this is football heavy.
Now, did you have your finger on the dump button with Bart yesterday?
Yes, we did. Luckily, we didn't have to use it. I almost used it when he said taco meat, to be honest with you.
Did he call it hamburger meat or taco meat?
Taco meat, but he was talking about your chest hair.
Yes.
The problem was, as you could probably put two and two together, what he was talking about before, and then he mentioned that. I got lost in the whole conversation with him.
What were we talking about before?
The scent of women.
So you thought that
I thought the taco meat was a little reference to something that might have to do with a woman, if you will. And James was the one that told me, no, he's talking about DA's chest hair. So that's how crazy Bart had me.
Yeah, he was towing the line a lot last night.
Very much so. So I was very careful. Very careful.
He can get away with saying a lot of things about black guys.
Right.
And white guys. And black guys versus white guys. And white guys versus black guys.
We can't do that.
No, we definitely can't.
No, but that's good to have that element that he can say those things. Spices up the show.
You're going to Dallas here.
I cannot wait.
I mean, you got to have the juices flowing.
When I booked this when the schedule came out in April, I was very pumped up then. I'm even more pumped up now. Again, whenever I take a vacation, take a flight, I'm either going to visit family in Florida or going to some kind of Caribbean resort. Doing the football road trip is something I haven't done, and especially for my team. Dude, Texas, the whole country bar scene, barbecue, going to Jerry World. It's got to be one of those stadiums everybody wants to see. I can't wait to do this.
You said to me last time we talked about this on the podcast that you were not going to be the ugly New Yorker, but I feel like that's inevitable.
No, I'm not going to be. Now, listen, if the Giants are upsetting them, they go up big, I might peacock a little bit in the fourth quarter.
I would imagine.
I might peacock a little bit, but no, I'm going to be very respectful because I would want that done to me back at MetLife Stadium.
You don't care. You are the worst kind of fan. You shove it in everybody's face.
No, I'm not going to shove anything in the Cowboys' face, but I think that's partially because I think the Cowboys are better than the Giants this year. But listen, I can't predict what's going to happen. You have to get me in that situation. I will give you a full report when I get back, and I'll be honest with you.
I think it helps that the Giants' expectations are real low.
Right. Well, listen, if we were coming off a Super Bowl this year, if the Giants are coming off a Super Bowl this year, yeah, I might be, stroking the keyboard a little bit, really pumping up.
Stroking the keyboard?
Yeah, on social media. Hey, Dallas, I'm coming home with a win. I'm not doing any of that.
Okay.
But, no, I'm looking forward to tailgating with the Cowboy fans and that kind of deal. I'm pumped up.
What food are you most excited about eating?
Well, apparently this great barbecue place we're going to, I believe it's called the Pecan Lodge, I was told.
Oh.
And they have great brisket and ribs. So, listen, my theory is I'm going to order as much as I want, and if I don't finish, I don't finish. But I need to get a sampling of all the barbecue that's down there.
Are you going to connect with the 105.3 The Fan guys?
I've already talked to RJ, Shan, and Roy. So, yeah, I'm hoping.
Wow, okay.
I'm hoping to meet up with them, whether it's for a couple brewskis Friday, Saturday, maybe even Sunday in the lot. So there's a lot going on. I think they do a little Cowboy pregame there as well. So I got a lot happening, man. I got my peoples down in Dallas.
Okay, if you're going to be at this game, I don't know, look for Mraz?
Yeah, just look for the guy in the Odell Beckham jersey with the loud mouth.
Bald guy.
Well, I'm going to wear a hat.
Oh.
Yeah.
Not the Dallas Sucks hat.
No. That's home because it doesn't say Cowboys, like it says Dallas Sucks, and I don't want to act like I hate the city.
You wouldn't want anybody to think that you hate the Dallas Stars or the Mavericks.
No, of course not. I love Mike Madonna.
Okay. All right, Mraz, you get going. You go catch your flight to Dallas. We're going to bring in James Ward right now. And Ward is going to be, he's also a part of the DA show, obviously, on a regular basis, but he's also going to be executive producer of the Sunday Morning Football Show, which debuts this weekend, Sunday, 9 to 11 a.m. Eastern, every single Sunday. Ward, we got a lot of moving parts. We talked about this on the show. Do we think we've got it all in order this weekend?
I actually think we are good to go.
Could that be?
A couple days ago, I wasn't so sure about
Didn't look like it.
There's still some things hanging in the balance, but I think for the most part, we're good to go.
I'm excited about this because both you and I are huge college football fans. And
love it.
I can't wait to react instantaneously because every time you do a Monday through Friday show, you're always bombarded with all of the NFL stuff that happens on Sunday that college football gets it gets smothered. And to be on before all the NFL stuff hits, to do college football is just the best.
Right. It's literally the perfect time slot to break down the college football action from the day before and then talk about the NFL that's going to happen later on that day. And I work weekends. People are always like, how do you do that? Working weekends, not super fun, but you have the ability to really talk about things as it's happening. As you said, doing like a Monday through Friday show. Mondays, NFL is the biggest storyline. You got all the action from Sunday. You got the Monday night game.
Yep.
And then it's always, well, let's get into some college football. Sunday mornings, we're going to get into a lot of college football.
Absolutely. One of my favorite segments going forward is going to be Excessive Celebration, where we're going to play the best freak out calls from the weekend in college football from radio guys, because the Homer radio guys make college football. It's just the best.
It's great. And my personal favorite is the Florida State guy, Gene Deckerhoff, who also does the Tampa Bay Bucks.
Yeah.
So he has these big weekends where he does two big games every weekend. But last year and the year before, when I was cutting up college football highlights, and Jameis Winston, the marquee player in all college football, I'd always get a smile when I hear Gene Deckerhoff's highlights of Jameis Winston.
He's the best because he just got these big pipes. Gene Deckerhoff, voice
Touchdown, Florida State Seminoles!
Yeah, but he also says we and us all the time.
Oh, yes.
We win, we score the touchdown.
It's very Hawk Harrelson, but that's like every college football play-by-play guy.
So we're going to do that, which is going to be great. Also, we're going to have one big interview in every single show, and that's the one thing that's a little up in the air right now.
It's hard. I mean, we're doing it in a time where all the guys doing games are busy getting ready for the games.
Right.
All the players and coaches are obviously performing and playing in these games.
Sure.
So those guys are sort of off limits unless we could tape them during the week. I think early in the season, it seems like every show is kind of going after the same guys.
Right.
And we're all having no success doing it. So either the PR guys are bombarded and they just don't want to deal with it, or they're picking and choosing.
So we'll see. That's going to be an interesting storyline to follow. But we got some irons in the fire this weekend, and I'm sure something's going to come through for us. What do you think about the name of the show, Sunday Morning Football? Because I had this whole list of really creative names, and I started throwing them by management, and they're like, no, that sucks. No, we don't want to use that. No. And I'm like, well, screw it. Then you guys come up with it. And they came up with Sunday Morning Football, and I'm like, meh. And then I said, it's growing on me. And now I kind of like it because in their mind, CBS has Thursday night football. NBC has Sunday night football. ABC or ESPN has Monday night football. And this is Sunday morning football. And I'm like, you know what? I kind of like that.
I actually really like it.
You
the
do?
first time I heard it, I was like, that's a good name.
Really?
Yeah, totally. I liked it from the beginning.
Because it took me a little while, but maybe part of it was I wish I had come up with the name that they used, and I was just like, Ben, like, fine, you just make it up, and I'm not going to like whatever you make up. And then the guy said,
whatever you choose is fine, basically.
Yeah, right, yeah.
It's funny because we have, on CBS Sports Radio, we have all these Ion shows, like Ion Baseball, Ion Fantasy Football, Ion College Football, Ion Football. That was actually my idea. Because,
to do the Ion?
To do the Ion stuff, because CBS.com or CBSSports.com has, all these specialized blogs on all the sports.
Right.
So I went into management and I was like, this is what CBSSports.com does. How about we use Synergy and use that for our specialty shows?
Very nice.
Quick phone call. Turns out the name belongs to CBS Properties. We're allowed to use it. So that's how all the specialty shows on CBS Sports Radio have the Ion names.
Well, that's a tip of the cap to you, James Ward. Very well done.
So when you come up with a name, it's good because you can think about it. But I do really like the Sunday Morning Football name.
Okay. All right, good. One of the things that I love is that we're using retro CBS football themes. That has got me geeked. We were going through these themes last night, putting them in the system. I was going over all the audio that we have. I'm really fired up because CBS has like 5 different old school NFL theme songs, and they're all pretty great.
Well, it's funny because we were listening to the one yesterday, and the one that caught my ear, I was like, I don't remember this at all. And CBS used it for like a season.
Right. It was like the 1991 season.
Right. Like when I would like prime me starting to get into sports and follow football and really get into the NFL.
Yeah.
Like this does not ring a bell at all.
But the ones that we have are going to be, they're definitely going to ring a bell because there's a CBS song from the 70s, there's a CBS song from the 80s, there's a CBS song from when they got football back in the late 90s, and then there's the current one as well. So we're going to use all of those. The college football song, we're gonna blow it out. I think it's gonna be great because you never hear those songs used anywhere.
No, they're perfect. And the CBS college football song, I think, has been in play since 1987.
Oh, yeah?
So while the NFL song has changed, 10, 15 times since 1987, the same. 1987. So almost as old as I am.
That's awesome. That's going to be great. Yeah, so that's coming up this weekend, Sunday morning football, 9 a.m. Eastern every single Sunday. We're bringing it to you, myself and James Ward and a cast of thousands. We will see you on Sunday. It's time for Side B of the Permission Granted podcast right now.
All right, welcome into Side B of the Permission Granted podcast. I am the executive producer of the DA Show, Sean Mraz, joined by the executive producer of DA Sunday Morning Football and the associate producer of the DA Show, James Ward. James, what's up?
Must be a good week. I got a new title.
A new title on the Permission Granted podcast. And one title we had issued out, I believe it was last week, was Missing in Action, a missing persons report, if you will. And that belonged to Steve Moralia, former associate producer. And apparently we have word that Steve-O is alive. Steve-O, is that you? Steve-O?
What's happening?
Oh, there he is. He's alive. He's
alive and well.
What up, J-Dub?
Moralias.
Hook 'em horns, yo.
Hook 'em horns, yo. What up, Moralias?
How you be?
Now, I could tell you there's probably one person really excited that Steve Moralia is speaking right now, and it's not me or James. It's probably Joel in Green Bay.
Joel in Green Bay. Ecstatic to hear Moralias on the
question.
line.
I'll tell you what. The guy emails me probably once every 2 weeks. I get an email from him or his wife.
So let me get this straight, Steve, because there's a couple things I want to square away here in these few minutes that we have you.
Can we start with that?
Yeah.
So you're not on Twitter, so you don't have a way to interact with the listeners. So upon your departure from CBS Sports Radio, did you exchange personal emails with one Pac fan, Joel?
I did. I gave Joel my email, and then all of a sudden I'm getting emails signed by the Stoppa.
Oh.
And we know that is Lisa Van Handel, I believe. And, one thing that I'm really disappointed with, when I left there, I had my cell phone. I actually put Jose. You remember Jose? What up, Razes?
Yeah, Jose from Philly.
What up, DAs?
Yeah. I put his number in my phone book. And for some reason, I don't know if it's an iPhone thing or what, but half my contacts are just missing now.
Hey, let's be honest. You losing Jose's number might be one of the better things in your life.
Steve, now listen.
I'm aware, but I wanted to give the guy a call, make sure.
Come on.
He's taking it easy on the drug.
Steve-O, hold on 1 second now. And now I love Joel and the Saba, but, there's a listener to, talkie relationship, and then there's a personal relationship. You wanted Jose's number, and you exchanged emails with Joel. My only question I can ask you is, what the heck is wrong with you?
Well, listen, I miss you guys, and I knew that I was going to miss the callers, especially Jose and Joel. They were probably my top two.
Right.
Ernie in Tennessee was another one.
How we doing now?
Yeah, I miss Ernie, How we doing now? Oh, pretty good.
Oh, jeez.
Boy, I miss those guys. So I wanted to keep in touch. Unfortunately, and fortunately at the same time, I guess, I get the pleasure of interacting with Joel and his wife. When I can.
Well, Steve-O, now it's great that you've been keeping in touch with them. My question is, why have you falling out of touch with your brothers in arms here? Myself, Ward, DA. Nobody's heard from you.
I don't think so. I text Ward a week ago. I keep in contact with you regarding the Yankees every once in a while.
No. Listen to me. My block party you said you were going to come to was the end of July. You no-showed, and I haven't heard from you since. We went on a good month where, we literally didn't know if you were dead along the Hudson River.
No, you know what happened? So I thought that I had sent you a text that day.
Oh, here we go.
And I was pissed off, and when I went to text you the other day, I must not have hit the send button. I had my explanation, about a 3-line explanation, right in the window that I must have failed to hit send on. I was
you failing to do something. But hey, at least we're on the air, Steve.
I thought about it. Didn't really execute. Apologize.
Go ahead, James. What did you say?
No, I was talking over you. We couldn't hear you. You continue.
Yeah, that was always my fallback. Is at least we're on the air, right?
Right, exactly. Well, go on with your text because I'm curious to hear this excuse.
Yeah, so no, well, I failed to remember that my parents were coming in town. My dad is working in Texas, so my parents flew into town. I went to JFK. Actually, I was halfway out to Long Island, essentially, to pick them up, and then I had to drive them back into Westchester to get their car. So that was my big downfall that week that I completely blocked out of my head. I thought that I had sent that text to you. I didn't, but I did. I believe I did see some pictures coming across Twitter.
So it's
on your secret Twitter account that you won't tell anyone about,
exactly.
but
the one with the egg.
You're quietly lurking with an egg.
Oh, geez. Well, Steve-O, you got to the listeners, I'm sure, have to wonder how's the new job? How is it being a mole, a rat for James Dolan?
Oh boy, you're doing this to me. No, actually, the job has been great. We're really busy. We're getting busy. Rangers are reporting to camp. It's fully trickling in now.
Yes. Everybody's got their. And listen, I'm the biggest Ranger fan, as you know, Steve-O. I could tell you, if you're saying that we're busy now because the Rangers are reporting to camp, a blip on the radar right now.
Little preseason hockey action, yo.
Listen, you didn't let me finish. So I've got these guys trying to report to camp. And we've got this big event. I don't know if you've been listening to the news at all. But
listening to the news?
The Pope is coming to town.
Right.
So this is like a very big project for us because he's saying Mass at Madison Square Garden. So I'm excited to be a part of that, and I've been putting a lot of stuff together for the press release. It's been awesome. It really has been quite the experience.
I know we can mock you a lot. I'm glad that you're saying that's been awesome and it's been quite the experience. But the idea that you have anything to do with a Pope's visit, I find utterly both sad, ridiculous, and hysterical.
Offensive might come to mind.
Why would that be offensive? I'm a good Catholic boy.
Moralias.
Are you going to meet the Pope?
You know what? I really hope so. I'm definitely going to be at the Mass. But I really want to meet the Pope. I really do. That's like I'm really looking forward to this.
Now, what are selfie rules with the Pope? Could you snap a selfie with the Pope if you wanted to?
He seems like he's a selfie Pope.
He is a selfie Pope.
I've seen a lot of the selfies rolling around the internet with Pope Francis, and I'm really trying to. I really want to get a selfie.
Okay, will you promise me this?
Picture. We did a big press conference last week, and I got a picture with the chair.
Oh, jeez. Oh,
yeah,
jeez.
with his chair.
This has all the makings of a Seinfeld episode. Steve, you have to promise me if you get a selfie with the Pope, you have to send it to either me, DA, or James. We have to get it up on the Facebook page.
Oh yeah, we'll do that. Of course, yes.
Jeez,
you're just dying for this interaction. You get no love from the suits at MSG, right? No. So this podcast, the fact that you talked about Steve-O missing an action on the last podcast, you're dying to get involved.
No, listen. I have plenty of stuff going on at MSG. I have plenty of interaction with the suits. I'm hoping that they don't listen to this podcast, really.
Right.
In all honesty.
Well, aren't you technically the guy they would pay for to listen to the podcast?
I wanted to come on and get in touch with you guys. I really do miss you. Without question, I miss you guys so much. We had a good bond there.
Steve-O, there's a couple things here. We absolutely miss you too. And even off the air newsroom stuff, we've had a great year between the Yankees and Met fans going back and forth that you've missed out on with the baseball teams being down the last couple of years. It's been a great summer in the newsroom.
I bet it has. You know what? Especially with DA and Husler. I can only imagine what he's like.
Right. Bob Husler works at WFAN. Yeah, he's been, all over the place since Cespedes got traded.
And that's another number that I lost. I got his number before I left there, so I'm going to need one of you guys to text me his number because we have a
sure. We'll do your rat work. Actually. Oh, do you really?
Yeah, so whoever finishes with a better record at the end of the year, we're doing beers, I guess, down at Westville.
The image of you, Bob Husler, and the Pope chugging beers at Westville would be something else.
I know, wouldn't it?
Jeez. And Steve-O, what are you pumped up for the football season? Now, here's the thing. As well as anybody with the grind here, football season is what really is the bread and butter of sports radio. And me and James, a lot of hectic stuff going on right now as we get ready for the season to start. So what you're telling me is things are getting very busy for you because the Rangers are reporting to camp and the Pope is coming to town.
Rangers, Knicks, Pope. We've got the Golovkin-Lemieux fight at the Garden. Yeah, I mean, there's always...
So that's what's keeping you busy, not football season, like what's always kept you busy.
I was thinking about this before I called. I do listen to the show every once in a while. I think it's Ward's Winners that he does for the college football.
Right. Good plug.
Is that what it is? Yeah. So I do tune into you guys every once in a while because I miss you, and I thought the show was great. Man, I'm feeling good. I miss doing that.
What is the thing you miss the most about working either on the DA show or CBS Sports Radio in general? And you've already said that you miss some of the callers. For other than that,
well, obviously the people. I would say that I do miss imitating DA when DA's out, and I was listening in the other day. I think Joe was in when you had McMuffin on. And,
yes, Tony Luffman, who I now have called to his face Tony McMuffin, and he loves it.
Okay, all right, yeah. So McMuffin, when he was on, I was hoping that somebody was going to do it, or were going to pull my recording.
Oh yeah, that was in my mind. Let's pull a Steve-O recording here
from 6 months ago of Steve-O saying McMuffins.
No, me saying, man, I'm feeling good. I used to mock DA essentially.
Steve-O, your voice lives on with those drops, with that laugh montage.
I know, and that's the funniest thing. So we were listening. I was listening to, I think it might have been Yankees pregame. I had the radio on at work, and it was one of my late nights there, and it switched over to DA because when the game
right, the
comes
stream,
on,
right,
it flips right over at 7:00. They take the pregame, and then it goes right into it. And I forget what the context was, but DA hit
context.
The context.
Okay.
Context.
Don't pull a Mraz and just completely confuse English words.
Yeah. Oh well, geez. Yeah, I know.
So it's like the pot calling the kettle white.
DA hits the laugh montage, and then my one of the guys that I work with is in the room. I go, listen, I'm on this, and they knew it was probably 3 weeks in. They had already heard the laugh, of course. And they picked the laugh out the first time, the high pitched laugh. I was like, ha ha. I think that's how it goes. And then the big laugh where I was just going, that one day, I don't know what got into me. And then at the end of it, saying that'll make the laugh montage. Yeah, I like that stuff. I do miss it. I would say that I miss the people though the most to answer your question. Right?
That's good. And now, Steve-O, before we let you go, because we have to wrap up here soon.
Do we?
Yes, we do. I'm sorry. I am heading to Dallas this coming weekend for the Giants-Cowboys. Booked my trip, ready to go, pumped up. Could be a long night for the Giants, I understand. That being said, Jolt and Joe D'Aloisio will produce Friday evening show, Monday evening show, and big shows. Not summertime shows like you did because they're NFL-related shows, college football-related shows.
Listen,
if you had... Hold on.
You can't judge it based on when you did it because that's just the luck of the draw.
Okay, but my point is, Steve-O, we all remember the infamous week with you where basically...
Oh, it was a great week. I know.
Great week.
A very good week.
Right, you had guys taking off for Africa as guests. If you had any words...
Hold on, DA. I just have to put my luggage in the overhead compartment.
Jeez. I mean, if you had any words of advice for Joe for these 2 shows, he's not doing a whole week, what would they be?
They would be to really figure out and try to actually do a practice run on the epic fail before actually doing it.
Wow, so the epic fail is really the crux of the problem.
It is. That's the real problem. It's the real stress point for me.
Ward?
It was for me.
100%. I've done 2 shows with DA that Mraz has taken off. The first time, it was one of those nights where there was no clear-cut epic fail, and I just had to make something up.
Yeah.
And what I pulled was absolute hot garbage. And it wasn't funny at all, and we all were kind of like,
it fell flat. And you got like the fake laugh out of DA, like the,
Right, and then like a week...
So DA fakes a laugh if he doesn't find something very funny, but just to comfort you, right?
And then a week later, when I'm like, yeah, my epic fail sucked, he was like, yeah, you're right, it did. So a couple weeks ago, I actually got a redemption, and I had a funny epic fail. So, yeah, the epic fail is crucial because... especially if you're not used to cutting it with like some sort of crunch time.
Yeah.
You got to turn the thing around in 15 minutes.
All right, so ask both of you guys here to wrap up. Does Joe D nail the epic fail on one, neither, or both of the nights he's producing?
I'm gonna go out on a limb and just be pessimistic and say he's really new at it and say 1.
1. James?
Yeah, I'll go with 1. I think he has 1 hit and 1 dud.
I trust Joe. I think Joe nails it both times.
Well, listen, and here's the other thing. While all you guys are in football season, remember the true season is up right now, and it's baseball season. Before I let you go,
listen, we're all in on the Yankees. We're with you, Steve.
All in on the Yankees. Let's go Yanks, and they got to take 2 out of 3 from Toronto here.
Well, it's a 4-game.
It's a 4-game series, so let's hope they win more than 2
3 out
games.
of 4. You're right. They play into the week, and there's going to be a doubleheader Saturday, so you know you're going to split that.
Did they already rain out tonight?
I don't know. It's going to be iffy.
Oh, yeah. So I'm sure discussing whether Thursday night's game is going to be real relevant by the time people listen to this podcast. Well, thank you, Steve. It was good for you to check in. We'll catch up with you again soon.
All right. Sounds good, Raz. Later, J-Dubs.
Later. All right. And that's going to wrap it up for the Permission Granted podcast. You can check me out on Twitter at MarazCBS. I'm off to Dallas. You guys enjoy your good football weekend. James?
I will be here working all football weekend, but check out the blog, Ward's Winners, for some college football picks.
All right, and that's James Ward, CBS. Good night, all.